Get your music across the finish line with X Racer Productions. Our artist-focused services include production, distribution, gigs, and more. Connect with us at xracerproductions.com. This is the X Racer Podcast, music makers on making music. I'm your host, Sean Ford, and today we have with us San Francisco's own Pamela Parker.
What's up? What's up?
How you doing, Pam?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Welcome to our very first episode of the X Racer Podcast. We're very lucky, fortunate to have you here. And anyway, you had a big concert recently that I was happy to be at, and it was a special night for you. Why don't you tell us what happened?
Yeah, so we played at the Independent, and we were doing our album release show for the Fantastic Machine, and we had a really awesome band that night. We had the core band with Chris McGrew on drums, Spence Murray on bass, Tom Finch on guitar. I was also playing guitar and keyboards and singing, and we had some guest musicians, 2 horn players. We had Rich Armstrong, Teddy Raven, and we had 4 vocalists as well. James Karen, Roz Hogbuster, Amber Fitzgerald, and Stephanie Keys. So we really expanded the sound this time to relate what we were doing on the new record. And I was really excited to be able to share what I've always really wanted to do with my music live, create that studio sound a little more.
Yeah. You know, I've seen you perform live several times in the last few years, and I got to tell you, this show felt different. It felt more personal, and I could see the audience was really connecting with you in a way that I hadn't seen before. How did it feel to you on stage that night?
I'd have to agree with you on those same feelings. You know, I felt like I was connecting more and people were connecting more too, just as I looked out into the audience and I saw familiar faces from the past. I saw new faces that were really excited. And that always feels good to look out on the audience and see how they're feeling in every moment of the show, you know, that you can do that. Go ahead.
But what do you attribute the difference to? I mean, the energy was very different. Your energy was different, and it just permeated the audience. What do you think was going on? What was going on from your perspective?
Well, the difference would have to be the songs. We played the new songs from the new record, which are more personal than some of my old songs, you know. We really dug deep into my life, into everyone else's life too, because there were a lot of co-writes on this song, and dug deep into issues that are facing the world now, like equality and women's rights and, you know, being fearless in the world when it's really, you know, it's hard to be fearless sometimes. So that's one of the things that I feel like the message is a little more intentional and on point to like what we really feel now, you know, and we've been holding these songs back for a while. So I think it's hard to be holding some stuff back.
Yeah.
And now we were able to really lay it out there for people and have them experience what we were writing about.
You really brought it. I felt it. And so you talked a little bit about songwriting. I want to delve into that a little bit because you're a producer, songwriter, vocalist, musician. You check all the boxes when it comes to being a music maker. But when did you first start writing songs?
Well, that's a tough one. Let's see. I think I know my first song that I felt as though I wrote a final complete song. I think that might have been at age 20, I think. And that was when I had my first real love of my life.
Really?
Yeah, and
wow.
That guy...
You're a late bloomer.
Yeah, you know, like a real love, though. You know, I did have a boyfriend in high school, and, you know, I dated a few people here and there in college or whatever, but it was like nobody ever I was like in love with that I was like, I need to be with this person all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and so once I felt what real love was, you know, I felt this soul connection. And the first song I ever wrote was called Soul Stretch, and it's actually on the first solo record I ever put out. I first put out like a tape actually, and
The Pamela
handed that
Parker
out.
mixtape.
Yeah, I handed that out when we were doing a tour in Canada, aka a road trip with my friends in the Volkswagen bus that I got for free from my neighbors. And so that's a whole other
Nice.
fun story.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that song Soul Stretch was about this connection I felt with this man who eventually did become a big part of my life, you know. And so that feeling I was able to capture in that song. So for me it was like to get out my emotions, I wrote these songs.
Yeah.
And so it was just a little capsule of an emotion at that moment that came out.
Well, that was when you were 20, and you know you're still doing it. And we're gonna play one of your songs from the new album, The Fantastic Machine, right now, and it's called
Believe.
Right On.
So you're searching for love, why don't you come inside with me now? You never know what you find until we come together. Baby, come meet me on the dance floor, then we'll be inspired to be. Gonna have a party, everybody's coming here. Cause everybody wants it, everybody needs it, all in this together. You better believe everybody wants it, everybody needs it, all in this together. You better believe it. What kind of world would it be if we could treat each other equally? You know I'm thinking it's time we got ourselves together. Baby, come meet me on the dance floor, then we'll be inspired to be. We're gonna have a party, everybody's jumping here. Make your cause everybody wants it, everybody needs it, all in this together. You better believe everybody wants it, everybody needs it, all in this together. You better believe, kick back, relax, find out who you really are. The world needs you more than you'll ever know. So shine your light for all to share. You can be the way you wanna be. Cause everybody wants it, everybody needs it, all in this together. You better believe everybody wants it, everybody needs it, all in this together. You better believe,
So that was Believe from your new album, The Fantastic Machine. And we were talking before the song a little bit about your songwriting and how you got started when your heart was broken,
Yeah.
essentially. Now, this is a totally different song. Well, how were you inspired, and what was the evolution of the songwriting for Believe?
Okay, yeah. So this was actually a very intentional songwriting session with me, our drummer, and our guitar player. We had Chris McGrew on drums and Tom Finch on guitar, and we met up at our rehearsal spot. And we wanted to write, we wanted to rehearse, but then we also wanted to write a song, write a new song that was going to inspire people and, give people something, to believe in, really. I know it's a little cliche, but
Yeah.
that is what I intentionally wanted, and everyone
Yeah.
else in the band. We have a similar feeling on the message we want to send out to people,
Yeah.
and that is to believe in yourself, but also to believe and understand that the one thing that everybody wants, everybody needs is love, and so everybody wants it, everybody needs it. We're all in this together. You better believe it. So the you
Yeah.
better believe it part is really, you better believe that it matters.
Right. Right on.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. So we're going to have more with Pamela Parker when we return. You are listening to Music Makers on Making Music, an X-Racer production. Follow X-Racer Productions on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and connect with us at xracerproductions.com.
What's up? This is Pamela Parker. I want to let you know about my new album, The Fantastic Machine, out now. You can order it online. And I want to connect with you, so go to PamelaParkerRocks.com. This is Pamela Parker, and you're listening to Music Makers on Making Music, brought to you by X-Racer Productions.
Come down to Wally's HydeOut at the historic Hyde Street Studio C to make your record. We've got classic acoustics, vintage mic preamps, and a great mic cabinet. Our experienced team knows just how to get the most out of this room. We continue the tradition of making great records in this fantastic acoustic space and can't wait to get started working with you. So go to wallyshideout.com and contact one of our engineers.
I hope you will get here soon. Oh dear.
We are back with Pamela Parker, and her new album is The Fantastic Machine. So before the break, we talked a little bit about your inspiration for the song Believe.
Mm-hmm.
What was your inspiration for the album?
So the inspiration for the album, The Fantastic Machine, is the female body, but also everyone on the planet. And by that I mean all the people on the planet working together, having one voice, and understanding that together we are stronger.
It's like a machine that gives life. So you wrote, produced, performed on this album.
Mm-hmm.
You really used the full your full toolkit
Yeah.
on this album, and I find it interesting to note that you're also an engineer at Hyde Street Studios.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When did you start working as a recording engineer?
All right. Well, when I first got started in engineering, I had gotten an internship at a recording studio in Washington, D.C. called One World Studios. So I started interning there, and I interned there. I eventually became a staff engineer. I eventually lived there because there was an apartment above the studio as well. So I pretty much made it to the top of that studio. And, that was my first experience in really being able to have a hand in producing music, but also I started writing music at the same time. So I got to learn how to produce my own music, and that was really empowering to be able to do it all myself and not have to really rely on anyone else. So for me, I really wanted to learn those skills so that I could do it.
Yeah, it's interesting, and on top of all of that, there aren't that many women engineers. There aren't that many, even today,
Yeah.
women producers. And it's great that you were able to navigate that. But is there some other reason why there aren't the opportunities for women to be recording engineers and producers? What's the barrier?
You know, I don't really know what the barrier is. I feel like people choose what they want to do. And I do believe that people like me and other women that are out there producing and engineering and doing their thing inspire other women to see that as a viable option. So it's kind of like trickling down, you know, and it's the waterfall is coming.
Mm-hmm.
And I see and I meet more females every day that are in this business.
Yeah.
So, you know, even though it's like 5% women and
Mm-hmm.
growing.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's a choice. You know, you make the choice to do what you want to do.
So when you think about all that experience, engineering for a wide range of recording artists, how did that knowledge base and experience impact you as a producer on this album?
Well, you know, I was able to really do whatever I wanted to imagine. So anything that I imagined I could create in the studio, whichever mic I thought it needed to have or preamp, and you know, it really, the color can change so easily when you just change the microphone. So it helps to know the equipment so that you know if you know what you're going for, you can really get it.
Well, this really goes back to the notion of how personal this album is, and the fact that because you have that background, you're able to start with your vision and really get that vision through the process with your band, with the people in the studio, and then, you know, I think that's another reason why when we saw you come out on stage and sing these songs, it was really sort of a personal triumph.
Yeah, definitely.
So, thinking of International Women's Day, Fearless really sounds like an anthem for women asserting their power. And that's the next song that we want to play from your album.
All right.
Fearless from the Fantastic Machine.
Hear what I'm saying to the fear inside you. Make your way, get your pay. What you gonna do with your time? Now you know that life is precious. If the world knocks you down, get up and steady your ground. You can choose who you want to be. We have the power. We are fearless. It feels so right. They try to separate us, but I don't see no difference. Well, you know that we get along better when we are together. When the noise gets louder, we speak truth to power. You gotta push to get some action. Silence won't get you satisfaction. You can choose who you want to be. We have the power. We are fearless. It feels so right. Stand up. I want
We're back with Pamela Parker, and we just listened to Fearless, another hot song. Pam, I wanna continue talking a bit about your talents. I just watched a documentary about Quincy Jones. Mm-hmm. Did you see that?
I did see that, actually. I saw that a couple months ago, actually.
You know, when you think about Quincy Jones and his career, you end up asking yourself the question, what was his greatest skill? Like, you really have to ponder. I'm going to ask you that question. Mm-hmm. Since you're a producer and a songwriter and a musician and a great vocalist, what do you think is your maybe not greatest, but most important skill?
Probably my singing voice.
Because you just have to be on stage?
No, not at all, because singing is healing to me. So I feel like if I can just sing anytime, I don't have to be on stage at all. I could just be alone in a room and sing to myself. You know, I feel like as a music maker, I always want to be able to sing because I can sing anywhere. I can sing on the plane, I can sing in the bathroom, I can sing in the shower, you know, I can sing in the car, I can sing really soft, or I could sing really loud, you know, so I have dynamics right at my fingertips, really. Yeah.
Right on. So Pamela Parker can sing anywhere and everywhere. Pamela, we want to thank you for joining Music Makers on Making Music and wish you luck with the album. And where can we go to find all things Pamela Parker?
Well, I just want to say thank you for having me. And everything Pamela Parker you can find at PamelaParkerRocks.com.
You are listening to Music Makers on Making Music, an X-Racer production. Follow X-Racer Productions on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and connect with us at xracerproductions.com.